Right there. Oh, nope.
Or just
all the way. Just do a 360.
yeah.
No.
I think this is
Keep
the
it like
shot
that.
we need right here.
Leave me off camera.
What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra Podcast. I'm senior Texas A&M sports writer Travis Brown here at KBTX, along with the first rotation. There's a lot of oars on the depth chart of this team, but the first rotation, that is Chief Meteorologist Max Crawford. Max, how are you?
Oh, good.
Tyler Shaw, sports director. What's going on over there?
We might have a lot of oars, but it's nowhere near the amount of oars on Texas A&M's depth chart.
A lot of oars on Texas A&M's depth chart. We'll get to that in a little bit, but one of our new reporters, Erin, you met her on the podcast previously. Erin Patterson was she's an Alabama alum, and we were talking about fight songs. I don't remember exactly how this came up, but she claims that Alabama was the most iconic and the most recognizable of all fight songs. So this has been a week-long debate amongst a lot of people. So what is to you the most iconic and the most iconic, B, recognizable fight songs?
I don't think it's like, of all of the iconic things about Alabama, I do not think about their fight song. As many times as I've seen Alabama play and win, maybe I'm just dumb, but I can't even think of what it is. I think they say like Rammer Jammer and stuff like that, but I don't even know what it sounds like.
I went back and listened to it, and you'll recognize it when you hear. We can't, of course, play these on here because of copyright and YouTube and things. But if you go back and listen, you know it. You absolutely know it.
Okay. Well, that's not my answer.
But yeah, it's
no.
What would your answers be?
I've got several, and I'm trying to narrow it down in my head right now.
I think one of them, Aggie fans are going to hear this year. I think Notre Dame's fight song.
Da, 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 da. And the only reason I know that one is because of Rudy.
Just kind of. This screams college football to me.
Yeah, I think so many high schools use that too.
Sure. Yeah, maybe that's what it is, because I go to a lot of high school games, and I probably hear that all the time, so maybe that's what it is. But I do think it is iconic.
Do you know the fight song that they use in Varsity Blues?
No.
It's the Aggie War Hymn.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, anyway, go.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
For me, the most iconic is Notre Dame. It was also my middle school fight.
I like that answer.
Most recognizable, I mean, probably Rocky Top or Boomer.
I was about to say
because
Tennessee.
It just played over and over and over.
See, but is Rocky Top the official fight song, or does it matter? Because we're just bantering right now, I suppose. Okay.
For this,
I like Rocky Top. I actually do.
No.
Yeah, Rocky Top's fine.
And this is I continue my streak of coincidentally OU hating, but I would put Boomer Sooner at the bottom.
But
most recognizable, absolutely,
because they play. And same goes for the people in our region.
Yeah.
Same would go for SMU because they play after every completed.
Now I see.
And she'll be coming around the mountain.
Okay. So I think my top three are probably USC, the Trojan one, Michigan, Hail to the Victor.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. And
who needs us playing this when we have Max?
That's a fight song here. We do them all a cappella. And I really like the Florida one.
Okay.
So I think that's my top three, but I think most iconic, I'm probably going to have to go USC, even though they have not been super.
You said it was Notre Dame.
No, so you said like I would. I said I wouldn't argue that with you, but I'm fine with that answer, I suppose. I will also say this. I don't think Texas has a bad fight song. I kind of like their fight song.
I put that in the same category as like Boomer Sooner. It's monotonous. It's a monotonous fight song.
All right. That's fine with me. I'm not gonna compliment them any more than I already have. OSU's is pretty good. Oklahoma State's isn't bad. See, and then there's like LSU, and all I can think about is neck. I can't think about their actual fight song. I'm trying to think of other fight songs. Navy's is good.
Oh yeah.
Kansas is good, Anyway, we could talk about this for a long time, and just like random songs that keep popping up in my head.
I can't think of what is TCU's fight song.
I don't know. I don't know what that one is.
Well, now I just have Notre Dame stuck in.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
And there's a little rah teasing in the middle of.
Wow.
Everyone's got rah in there.
How unique.
That's how BYU uses like that.
That's y'all read to the
Rah.
just absolutely diverging here from the conversation. Y'all went to Disney Paris.
Yes.
And the Small World, the where did they just what is it? Just signs of raw.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I think.
Yeah, that was our favorite. It's a Small World ride.
Nobody else says. Oh, sorry.
No, it's just because what Europeans think of America in the little
raw
is two sports figures, and they have little picket signs, and it just says raw.
Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that's what we are, Americans.
A&M's the only one that says sounds like hell in theirs.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, they're a little edgy, aren't they?
They're a little. Yeah, edgy. That's a good call. For me, well, did you name yours? You didn't name yours.
Yeah, mine would be Notre Dame at the top. I kind of like USC. I didn't, USC for sure should be up there. Notre Dame, the ones that get stuck in my head, Tennessee and Texas, just because of, I guess, the repetition and hearing it. Some of them are just way too similar, though. That's the other thing. It gets murky on part of like.
I think that's why I kind of
which.
like the Florida one so much, is because it's almost like a conglomeration of all fight songs. And I can't, I'm trying, because I have all the other songs stuck in my head right now, I'm not going to do that one a cappella because I'm trying to think of it.
Well,
yeah.
I'll just start doing it at some point in the pod whenever it comes back into my head, and we can put a pause here, and I'll just start doing the song.
Okay, great.
Later.
For me, Hail to the Victors is good, but I always forget that there's the first half of the song is kind of on drugs.
Okay.
And then the second half is the part that you know.
God.
If you go back and listen, it's real weird and doesn't seem to have a tempo, or it's kind of on drugs.
Okay.
And then you go on and it's the part you know. But I think the top one for me is probably Fight On at OSU.
Okay.
I mean, not OSU.
USC?
USC.
Yeah.
Were you saying Arkansas?
Arkansas is pretty good.
Someone brought that up, and it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay to me. I don't know. It's pretty good. I'm gonna go a little off-roading here and not actually consider fight songs. But some of the schools have those little kind of first down songs. Like the one that, if I think college football bands, it was probably because of the video game growing up. It's the Florida one that's like the da 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 da.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Sticks.
Oh, Gators, here we go.
Yeah.
Which Alabama has a very similar.
Yeah, Alabama's first down kind of thing.
Ba-da-da-da.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And then there's
What is that? What was that? What are you?
the Go Fight Win Texas Tech one.
Oh,
Bum, bum,
Is that-
bum, bum, bum.
oh no, that is a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
That's I just had to find a way to bring
Bum, bum,
Texas
bum,
Tech for you
bum,
on this.
bum, 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 bum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So those are probably. I'm going to include those in my top 3.
So when you start getting into deeper in that, I guess I know a couple of those just because we're talking about them. But for me, it's I love the after a first down.
That will get stuck in my head after I cover a game.
Yeah.
The rest of the next day, just
Right.
in my head echoing.
Nobleman of Kyle,
yeah.
Arch of the Green Beret, all of that. I'm those are my favorite. But
Yeah.
that's. I was trying not to bring A&M up too much in that conversation because obviously those are all my favorite.
I mean, Kyle. I mean, the band and everything. I mean, they've got some iconic sounds as well.
When we were at the Las Vegas Bowl, and there was that luncheon the day before, and they had both the bands on side, and of course we hear the A&M band, so we
Right.
know that. But when the Trojan band started into Fight On, that was a little bit goosebumps.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, especially because we were they were up at the second levels, almost a surround sound fight of the battle of the bands type.
You know what?
It was cool.
Neither of you have mentioned the old Baylor line.
So
The answer, no, that's not. Stop. Enough.
well, Baylor's their one of their secondary ones is when the Saints go marching in.
Okay.
High school fight song. So
Sure.
kind of attached to that. But
Yeah, Texas high school football. I understand.
High school football.
We should talk about that game a little later.
Which game?
Baylor
Auburn Baylor.
I'm not prepared for that, but
We'll talk about it later.
we'll do it later.
If we got time, we'll talk about it.
Let's go ahead and mosey on into the headlines here that we have. And there is a lot as we're going into the first game week here for the Aggies. The biggest one, Le'Veon Moss is available for UTSA. There was all kinds of conversations over the last several months about how they were ramping Le'Veon Moss up into contact, into some more practice reps as he's coming off what he said was the ACL and MCL injury. But Mike Elko said he would be available and good to go. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to be the bell cow in the game because, as we've talked about many times, A&M has a huge stable of running backs. So Mike Elko then was asked a little bit more about how Le'Veon is going to be used, how they're going to be able to distribute some of these carries. Let's hear from head coach Mike Elko on what he said about this on Monday.
Yeah, I think we'll have a plan. I think we'll have a plan on how we want the carries to go, who we want to get touches. I think we'll have certain, they have different skill sets. And so you have certain things in mind. Okay, these are Le'Veon's plays. These are Ruben's plays. This is where we're going to get Amari and EJ involved. These are the things the young kid can handle. And this is what we want to get him in there to do. And then you got to improvise, and that's like every rotation you set up, you get into the game and you try to figure out what's working, what's not working, who's playing at a high level, and you roll with it. And I think Trooper's done a really, really good job with that. I think we talk a lot in our building about the need to have a lot of really talented running backs. I think running back is the position that gets beat up the most. Obviously, as you go through the year, they take the most hits, they take the most pounding, and as you put it, an embarrassment of riches can become very thin very quick because of injury. And so it's important that we get everybody ready. It's important that everybody understands it's a long season. And it's important that everybody understands that there's going to come a time where we're going to need each and every one of them to shoulder a load and a burden to help us win a game, to keep this thing moving forward.
So summing up, he said there's going to be each back has a different skill set. They're going to be able to do something different. Briefly, what do y'all first off kind of think about the Le'Veon news and how this will lead into our matchup? But how do you see that running back situation going for the Aggies?
I think it's a good thing that he is playing. There's some talk of he's back from injury, maybe just save him for Notre Dame. He hasn't played in so long. I think he needs the reps to kind of build up for that Notre. Now, again, because of the beginning of the schedule, he might not be needed a whole lot until Notre Dame, just because they will be more than capable with Ruben Owens and behind him and Amari Daniels and even EJ Smith. But I think it's good for him to get the reps in. I don't think they're going to pound the rock too much with him. He'll probably be on some sort of a that pitch count a little bit. But also don't expect him to be avoiding contact either. He was asked about that, and he dropped probably the best line of his press conference when he said, no, I'm not running out of bounds. Running out of bounds is like running from a fight. So
yeah, that'll get a fan fired up for sure.
He's got the right attitude, I'd say, Max.
And I mean, that's the thing. After an injury like that, I think especially lower body, there could be yips, right? And it does not seem like he has them. I think he knows there's a sacrifice your body element that goes into playing football. And if on a mental state, you're going to get back to the way that you were, especially if you're physically 100%, is you have to kind of approach it that way. You have to approach it of, there is no tomorrow kind of deal. And especially if you're a downhill running back, that's the exact mentality that you're going to have. He would have said that before he got injured. That he's saying that today, I think, speaks volumes to the attitude that the dude has. So, yeah, I think you get him in a couple of those scripted drives right at the beginning of the game. And assuming you start rotating in some other backs, and hopefully the score spread is what it is, and then you start using him in some of those situational downs. Like maybe you get a 3rd and short and you want to throw him in there. And I think getting the live reps is important, especially before Notre Dame, because he might end up being that type of dude. And I think Elko alluded to this a little bit. I don't remember if it was specifically in this presser or not, but you look back at certain games where he was able to kind of take it over. It's kind of like Isaiah Spiller back in 2020 is all of a sudden is like, okay, this is his quarter, right? And you just kind of see him take over the game. I think he did it really, really well against Arkansas last year.
Yep.
Where, in the second half, it was just very clear, like, okay, we're going to feed him until it doesn't work. And so I think having that utility will be very good. And it almost seems like they're saying, any given game, maybe that's Ruben Owens. Maybe that is E.J. Smith. And, dumping the ball off to anybody from all those people to even Terry Bussey. Like, it's situational, and we've said this before, but it's a good problem to have.
I think you were right. I think holding off, putting him in any kind of real contact until the Notre Dame game would be not optimal because of how few contact reps, at least it's been indicated to us that he was able to take during fall camp. And so we'll be interested to see how many they use him for. I don't expect this game to be close in the fourth quarter, but if for some reason it was
right, then he's probably your guy.
Going to be your guy because you're needing to run down the clock or things like. But yeah, I think you're right. You'll see him a little bit, and then you'll see a pretty healthy rotation of the other guys. So that's probably one of the biggest things that we talked about this week, other than the injury situation. Wide receiver, 5-star wide receiver Jerome Miles out for the season with a leg injury. Also, offensive lineman Papa Afua out with a leg injury, and Ruben Fothery out for a few games with an injury, a kind of undisclosed injury that he is going to be back probably soon enough that they put him on the depth chart, but he's not going to play in these opening few games. A quick look at Jerome Miles. He's a 5-star. He was the number 1 recruit out of Utah, ranked number 23 nationally at 247sports.com. In his senior season, 28 catches, 732 yards, 10 touchdowns. This is the interesting one, and this is the one that caught a lot of attention. He broke a 43-year Utah record in track in the 100-meter with a 10.36. Speedy guy. If I remember right, his recruitment kind of came on a little bit late in that class, but I think a guy that a lot of A&M fans were maybe excited to see because of some of these numbers up there.
Yeah, I think even some of the practice film, you could tell he glided on the field, like the way that he ran routes and just ran in general. You could tell that he was kind of like a next level athlete. So it's really disappointing that you see that. But I also happen to think, it's not a type of person that you'd want to rush back to recovery and getting on the field considering his injury history. So I really hope, I feel like this is a little bit pessimistic of me to say, well, at the same time, I'm really optimistic about it, but I really hope we get to see him play and perform in maroon and white, but you know how things go like that sometimes.
And there's a lot we perceived, at least from what we've seen and everything, a lot of depth at wide receiver now.
Yeah, so I don't think this hurts the team. Now, Again, I'm worried about this injury just because of his injury history. He's been injured in high school, and I just worry about his athletic career. Where is it going? Hopefully he can have that speedy recovery. But as far as when you're looking from the Aggies' perspective, what they have, I don't think he was even going to be used a whole lot this year, had he been healthy. And that's because you have KC Concepcion. He's that clear-cut number 1 guy. And then after that, you still have Terry Bussey emerging, Mario Craver. Kind of those guys are going to kind of be the focal point of the offense. So that's not even mentioning the tight ends that I think will be involved a lot more in the passing game this year.
And Ashton Bethel Rowe,
right.
Who seems to be the breakout star of fall camp, at least from kind of who we've talked to and everything like that. And then briefly, a few other things. Miles O'Neill, named back a quarterback. You've been out at practice. You've seen the video. Do you think this is the right choice?
I do. I think he's the future, and I think that's why they're going with Miles O'Neill, because they see that. Let's say Marcel, goes to the draft next year. I think they're banking on Miles O'Neill being that guy. Assuming he sticks around and stays. You have Jacob Zeno and the veteran, but I don't know. Again, we haven't seen a whole lot from practice, but what we've seen. Miles O'Neill can sling it. He can sling it, and and we've seen him kind of doing a lot of the reps with the twos at practice. I like what I seen from him, and again, yeah, I think they understand he's the future.
Yeah, and I think even adding on to that, you assume he's the future and you give him that second role, which has been used every single year since 2020, since Kellen Mond was here. And so I don't think that any of the coaches take that lightly. I think Elko, that was an intentional decision based on just the way that the past few years have gone, that in a situation where Marcel is out, like, okay, then we go to Miles. I could see a situation like maybe if we're up by a possession or something kind of late in a conference game and Marcel goes down and it's like a just out for game the rest of the... I could see them going with a more proven Jacob Zeno just to close out the game type of situation. But it's nice to know that not only do they think he's the future, but that he could also step in immediately when called upon. When you have an accurate and seasoned person like Zeno, I think that's very encouraging.
I agree. I think that if there's a situation where Miles gets hurt late in the game,
Marcel
gets hurt late in the game, things are a little haywire, not a lot of time to get a young quarterback settled into a game, they'll go with Zeno. And maybe if it's in the middle of SEC play, they might actually go to Zeno. But if it's late in the game, get the guy reps, Miles O'Neill will be the guy. I mean, they just have that option. They can go with both guys. It's a little bit of reverse, but it's kind of the same situation as Jalen Henderson and Connor Wigman a couple of years ago, where you can use, Marcel Reed. It was Henderson to Marcel Reed a few years ago, and kind of get them both in, depending on what the situation set up for. And then finally, two quick hitters. Aggie volleyball started off the season knocking off number 11 Minnesota up in South Dakota. Logan Lednicki had, I believe it was 22 pills.
Yeah, insane
in that game, which is pretty wild. They're starting off on a hot streak. Aggie soccer has bounced back a little bit. A lot of close, tight games, but Trinity Buchanan's been kind of the name of the game in all this. She's on a 3-game goal streak. And G. Guerreri said, it's not necessarily like a pitcher in baseball that you're going to stay away from. They're talking to her. There's no superstition, but they are excited that she is.
You don't want to talk about it too much.
You don't want to talk about it too much, but
yeah.
you can. They're not putting her in a corner and not talking to her at all.
That's a good thing to talk about. Like, hey, you got a goal streak, keep it up.
Yeah,
keep scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
volleyball is encouraging. Certainly not surprising, but it is a very good sign. An away game where you take care of business against a ranked team. And I don't think they had unanswered, because they didn't lose the first set. I think they won the first set, lost the second by a pretty decent amount, and then they just kind of took over after that.
You are correct.
And so I think they kind of settled, came out strong, and then regressed a little bit, and then just took care of business and got out of there. So
yeah, the number 9 volleyball heads down to Rice on Friday, and then has Central Arkansas on Saturday in that Rice Invitational down there in Houston. So that's what's coming up next for them.
Over 40 years ago, my parents started C&J Barbecue, and today we continue to honor Dad's legacy with the best barbecue in the Brazos Valley. With locations on Harvey Road, Southwest Parkway, and our newest location on William Joe Bryan, we carry on our family tradition of serving up award-winning barbecue, sides, and desserts. We also offer delivery, catering, as well as custom menus and private chef services. Come visit us today for some of the best barbecue around. C&J Barbecue. The C is for Chip, the J is for Joe, and the barbecue is for you.
Well, boys, it's time. It's time to get into the matchup.
Wow.
A&M,
Roadrunners.
their first week, they're going to take on UTSA. Here's the situation. Apparently we're live now. I didn't see that's going. You added the live, but the game is live, and it will be shown live Saturday at 6 p.m. inside Kyle Field on ESPN. This is an interesting one for me. It is not your typical Prairie View A&M, Utah State, Rice type of situation. This is one that that could present some interesting challenges for the Aggies. Let's go into some just initial observations on this before I get into some of the stats and details. Like, what's the gut feeling of this matchup?
Well, the gut feeling is I do think A&M's going to handle business, but that's not to say it's without its challenges, because the interesting matchup is going to be UTSA's offense versus A&M's defense. UTSA has a really good quarterback and really good skill players. Again, they don't exactly have the bodies and the line and everything to sustain a 4-quarter game, I don't think, with A&M. But that'll be an interesting matchup. How good has the secondary kind of shored some things up? Are they going to limit those explosive plays? Because UTSA also has a very deep running back stable. So that's kind of the matchup I'm looking for there. Again, we've talked going into this season about how much better Colin Klein's offense is going to be this year, and how proven and this could be a strength of the team. I think that is not a good sign for UTSA's defense, because it's a defense that has 11 new starters on it. So I think that is going to be so lopsided once A&M kind of gets rolling with their offense.
Max, what's the gut feeling?
Gut feeling is that, like I said last week, I think we covered the spread. I think it might take a while for us to cover that spread. I believe it's 22.5 points. And I think that happens, whether that's with a late score in the fourth quarter or not. I don't know. But to me, like what Tyler said, this is a test that is biggest for the defense, for A&M's defense, is to say, like, where is our, not our worry meter, our concern meter about the defense and where they can go. And for offense, I'm just looking to see, hey, is this kind of as advertised, at least a little bit? Are we stringing together drives? Are we actually explosive and things like that? Because I do also think especially our offensive line is going to bully their defensive front, and the skill player matchup and things like that. If you go back and you listen to Elko's presser, he talks this team up quite a lot, especially the offense, but even the defense. He kind of makes it seem like they're this mysterious power that they haven't been able to get any film on and stuff like that. I think they're going to figure it out pretty early on in the game, how to run the ball against the defense, how to score against the defense. But yeah, will we probably give up more points than what I would like personally? I think so. I could see like a 40-something to 20-something type of game. But I'm hoping that what we find is that our defensive concerns are not quite as large as what we've maybe been led to believe by a couple of people.
And that's the part that I find interesting. Let's get a little bit deeper into what the Roadrunners have going on for them. They were 7-6 last season. They were 4-4 in the American, which, okay, very average in a G5 conference. Tyler, you mentioned to it, they have 9 returning starters, but 8 of them are on offense, and then you have a punter. There is no returning starters on defense, so there's not anything. And Mike Elko even said it in his press conference, like, it's been one of the most challenging scouts that they've had, because they've had to look at a whole bunch of different players from a whole bunch of different places and trying to kind of piece together what they think this defense might look like. But if you look at those offensive numbers, they were a force last year on offense. They had 33.2 points per game, 452.2 yards per game, 283.5 of those yards were passing. That scoring margin ranks 27th in the nation. The passing is 11th, and the total is 12th in the nation. It's it's almost a top 10 offense last year that returns. And then on defense, the top portal addition was linebacker Shad Banks from TCU. When you look at what these guys have individually on the offense, you mentioned the quarterback Owen McCowan. He threw for over 3,000 yards last year, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Their main rushing threat is Robert Henry Jr. Last year, 130 carries, 747 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5.4 yard average. And Willie McCoy, the wide receiver, 536 yards, 4 touchdowns. But they had a lot of different wide receivers that were right there in the 300, 400, 500 yard range. So a lot of weapons out there for Owen McCowan. It's one of those ones, and I talked about it a little bit last week. Like, A&M's offense, we've heard a lot, and they're going to go against the defense that they should be able to carry this game and win single-handedly on their own. But I'm going to be really curious to see how A&M's defense handles, again, when I say a near top 10 offense that returns from last year, if they can maintain the same pace and firepower as they had. It's gonna be interesting. It's not going to be a loss, and it's probably not going to be interesting late, but there's going to be some interesting parts, and I think we're going to be leaving the game going, I still don't quite have my finger on what this defense is yet.
Max loves how much you're talking up this matchup, by the way, in this game.
Rightfully so. And so here, I will talk some good about UTSA, specifically about the offense, because my weird connection to it is that when college football came back last year, and we did an online dynasty with like 8 to 10 people of our friends.
Oh, yeah, you're an expert.
I was the offensive coordinator at UTSA, and like the 3 people that you just showed, those are my top producers. That and the tight end, whose name I wish I remembered, but I just don't. But Willie McCoy and Henry were my 2 top offensive dudes besides the tight end, and McCown could spin it, at least in the video game. So, I mean, I think especially if you're this offensive team, and I know that Traylor is thinking this is a bona fide, if you take care of business, you could be in contention for a G5 playoff berth. I think it's your UTSAs, your Tulanes, your Boise States, maybe your UCFs of the world, and UTSA plays a lot of those, maybe Memphis. So if they take care of business in the American Conference, maybe they do end up being one of the top ranked G5 schools. So I think they can be a good team. I agree with you, at least in some way, Travis, that if we get to the end of this game and we're kind of like, ooh, then maybe it would be time for a little reorienting of expectations, or maybe it's just the first game and we're still trying to figure stuff out. And that's why I think that this schedule is so much better, at least the front half of it, than it was last year, where we have a couple of games to kind of figure it out. So you got a challenging but not impossible, non-conference game to kind of figure yourselves out. And then you got kind of a tune-up game against Utah State, which we are talking so much mess about Utah State, and watch that game's going to end up being closer. And then you go and try to not shock the world, but you try to establish your presence in the national picture against Notre Dame. So I love the way that the first 3 games of this season start. And I am going to be most curious to see how explosive we look on offense, and also how the defensive line performs. Because I think if we can make them one-dimensional, it's not going to be a problem past like the first or second drive of the third quarter. And if that is the case, then I think I will end up being happy. If they score some points, if they score like 17 to 28 points or something like that, that might not look great, but to me, it would be understandable.
And another interesting thing with this matchup, because we put up their record, they were 7-6. A big reason for that was all the penalties that they racked up. They were a very, and Jeff Traylor's talked about this, kind of undisciplined team last year. They had a lot of those pre-snap penalties, penalty yards after the snap too. So I wonder how that's, if this team has fixed that issue. This is going to be a big test for them, starting your season in a hostile environment like Kyle Field at night. So that will be interesting to see how this Roadrunners team kind of handles all of that. Because if that's still an issue, this is not a place you want to play.
I think if we are able to, and yes, I'm saying we, for those listening, I am saying we.
Yeah, you're suiting up on stuff.
Yeah, y'all don't say we, but I do. Yeah, I'm suiting up. I'll be there in the shoulder pads and everything, holding up.
I just watched that Cowboys doc, like the big 19
and the neck. Yeah. No, but I perfected this stance for sure. Like the holding on to the shoulder pads and just kind of sitting right here waiting. That was me senior year of high school. But anyway, I think if we take care of business those first couple of drives, I think a lot of that just doesn't really come into play because, all of a sudden it's 14 or 17 to nothing. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but like if we stop them pretty quickly on a couple of drives, don't let them hang around, don't let them extend drives and things like that, I don't think that this game is going to be particularly close. But this is a perfect test for the defense on exactly where we are, on whether or not they're even capable of doing that at the start of a game. Because, Traylor has proven that he can do a lot with, I'm not going to say not a lot of talent, but, the classic do more with less type of thing. So, I mean, he's a good coach. He's going to have a good game plan. And if we can shut that down early, then I don't think that there's going to be all that much intrigue to it.
Here's my one random thought before we'll get back into this. I kind of wish this was a home and home. I know that would never happen.
I would be down with the little Alamo Dome.
That would be really
Yeah.
good.
So you say that would never happen, and maybe in this day and age it wouldn't, but you forget that we played a game at the Independence Bowl, Johnny's Heisman year, against La Tech. So we've had stranger well, that's not a home and home, but you know what I mean. Like, we've had stranger competitions that were not at Kyle Field. I would say, yes, this day and age, it's a pay game. I think I saw we're paying them $1.5 million to come play at Kyle Field. But yeah, I would dig an Alamo Dome matchup.
I mean, look at we got some highlights for showing if you're watching this online, courtesy of our friends over at KSAT. But the good crowd.
So
got the likes going, and the Alamo Dome press spots. I covered the 2016 Alamo Bowl. Elite, because it's like right there at the top of the lower deck.
It's a good stadium.
You don't even need binoculars to see the.
It's a great venue. Yeah,
to see the field. Yeah, so I'd love a home and home. But that's a side note.
To add a little context to that video that you just played, you'll notice that the lower deck is the only thing with attendance. They usually keep the upper deck closed, but I have been informed via Twitter.
Oh yeah,
that they are opening up the upper deck
for Texas
State. And by the way, the Texas State and UTSA rivalry is pretty spicy online. They do not like each other. And I think especially in baseball, things get pretty chippy with them because those are two really good state of Texas baseball programs, especially as of late. But they don't like each other in football either.
Yeah.
That's like a mini Lone Star showdown.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's kind of like the Battle of the Piney Woods, kind of one of the
like a step up above that.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. Well, going back to the actual on the field matchup, the thing that I'm the most interested in looking out at is the defensive secondary and what they have going out there. Less oars on the depth chart in the secondary, but there are still some. You're going to see Tyreek Chappelle at nickelback. Yeah, you're going to see Will Lee starting at one of the cornerback positions. The other side could be Des Ricks or Julio Humphrey, the transfer from Georgia. So we'll be interested to see what that looks like. Bryce Anderson is the one of the fair and away starters there, and then Dalton Brooks or Marcus Ratcliffe on the other side. I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that Bryce Anderson is the go-to starter. I thought it might be Dalton Brooks and Marcus Ratcliffe back there, but he seems to have had to taken that next step. He just seemed a little slower than he normally was last year.
Yeah, and maybe this is a testament to what he's been able to do in the offseason camp. Maybe it's the experience he has, but yeah, it did seem like there was a step back last year. But yeah, the fact that he is a clear-cut starter, at least on this depth chart, and not one of the oars, leads me to believe that they got a lot of faith in what he's been able to do this offseason. But again, I think they will be kind of rotating through all sorts of positions, and that secondary might be one of those where they experiment a little bit with moving forward.
What do you feel about the secondary, Max?
Just that there's a lot of talent, and it needs to grow up quick and make some plays for us to really have the type of season that we want to have, and I think it's certainly possible. And this is kind of still a situation where I'm going to take last year as the exception to the rule of really, really good secondary play from an Elko defense. And so I'm not super worried about it. Is long story short there. I think what I said earlier is, if we shut them down the first couple possessions, I think what we've also kind of seen from an Elko defense is the first couple series don't often go the way that you want it to. And I almost feel like it's kind of Elko feeling out the process, and then you really start to clamp down. And so I think that's kind of what we're going to see. But defensive backs wise, I am in the trust Elko that he knows way more about secondary play than I do, and so I'm not worried about it.
And a lot of the conversation since last year, since the kind of fiery press conference after the Las Vegas Bowl, is that
I tell you what, you guys better not bring that up again, because if somebody, it might have been Olin, asked him about it again in the presser this week. And if you watch closely, I I think if he hadn't have taken a deep breath or counted to a real quick 1, 2, 3 in his head, I think he would have gone off. I think if he gets asked that question one more time, somebody's getting chewed out. That's just my prediction. But he is tired of being asked that question.
So it seems like you want us to ask that question, Max.
No, I do not. I do not.
Why don't you come in the session?
Yeah.
Hi, Max Crawford.
I wasn't planning to, but now that you've brought this up, I need to.
Coach, going back to Vegas. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, Travis.
No, that's a good point. But he's going to be more involved. He said he's going to be more of a we're yet to see fully what that looks like on a game day scenario, of course. But he's going to be more involved. And as you mentioned, he was the safety. Defensive backs are his specialty, his bread and butter. So how much of that of his direct fingerprints on that position group is going to be interesting to see. And it puts his neck on the line, out on the line just a little bit more too, because of the fact that if they haven't seen improvement, he's already said he's been a little bit more involved.
Right, doesn't really have a scapegoat to go to. I mean, it's gonna be all on him, and he knows that. He's taking ownership. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
You have the depth chart pulled up here,
right? Linebacker.
What stands out to y'all?
To me, linebacker. You know, you've got Torian and you got Scooby, and then you have a bunch of oars. So what that tells me is I feel really good about our starters. And then there's some questions about the rotation, and then, you know, assuming not everybody stays healthy, I suppose I have a little bit of worry there. You know, Damian Sanford had a lot of reps last year, and so I think he could step into that role pretty good. You know, you hear about Tristan Jernigan and things like that, but that one I suppose concerns me a little bit if we don't stay healthy, but I feel really, really solid about both York and Williams. And to me, the defensive line just kind of seems like a hodgepodge right now, but we did get some great portal additions. So yeah. And I think if we're flipping now over to offense, the thing that I find interesting is that the only thing that I'm looking at right now, and I don't see an or on other than right guard, is the wide receiver with KC. You know, they say he's our guy. And beyond that, we got a lot of ors there. So that's my depth chart. Just like looking it over is like, yeah, we're going to rotate a lot of people, except we got some of our guys, right?
Tyler, how do we make sense of this defensive line?
We don't. I think we're just. I mean, and I've even before the depth chart came out, I had the idea that we're going to see a lot of these guys. You know, they have a lot of guys that are kind of on that same level that they think will be able to produce. So I think it's going to be just a lot of rotating, a lot of different, and I think that's going to be to Elko's advantage, especially when he starts dialing up some of these exotic third down packages and putting guys in different spots. So there's really not a whole lot of sense to make of this defensive line, the depth chart, other than the fact that we're going to see different lineups all throughout the game. I probably see a little bit of each one of them.
I think I would be a lot more worried about the defensive line, which I think that's the unit I'm most worried about, to be completely honest. But I think I would be a lot more worried if I didn't know that Cassius Howell and Albert Regis were there. I think from a leadership and just proven talent standpoint, I think those are the dudes that they rally around.
I mean, I think that's interesting because I have heard a lot of people mention the defensive line being one of the biggest question marks. And to me, that actually might have been the strongest unit of at least going into it in my mind, because of guys like Albert Regis, Cassius Howell, Tyler Onyem. I'm saying that right.
Onyem.
That's your responsibility in this podcast. And those guys kind of coming in, like, okay, the A&M's defense last year against the run was pretty good, but they didn't have great sack numbers. And those three guys went off to the NFL. Like, if these guys can come in and maintain what they did last year, which was serviceable.
Sure.
I mean, I think that is well within the reason of these guys. I think they made some upgrades too on some things. So yes, I know a lot of coaches downplay sack numbers and play up pressures, just changing the quarterback's rhythm and making him work under pressure. Sure, but there was a lot of quarterbacks, Lamar Sellers, last year who was under a lot of pressure and still managed to make a play.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see what that pass rush looks like. I have more worry about run defense with the linebackers than I necessarily do the defensive line. I crazy for that?
No, I don't think I had many worries about this defensive line, just because, again, Cassius Howell, I think, is going to step up and be kind of that dude. And you got Albert Regis, even DJ Hicks, Tyler Onyedem. I think you got the guys there. I think it's just a matter of it's not like last year where you have kind of, who your four up front are going to be every week. I think it's just a little different with so many new guys and kind of young guys up and coming, but I think they're proven enough that I don't think the defensive line is going to be a weakness.
So let's get to it. We can do. We're doing score predictions this year. I guess we didn't really talk about it. Are we just doing key takeaways? Like what are we feeling like doing this year? A little producing on the fly.
We can maybe throw in a score. Can I? Here's my key takeaway.
We totally forgot. Like the main thing. The biggest, one of the biggest storylines of all of this is the fact that there's a few big time homecomings. One of them is Tommy Robinson, the running backs coach for UTSA, was a coach at A&M. He's coming back, but the bigger one, the one that all the coaches talk about, is Houston Thomas.
Yeah, and he's a guy. He's on the John Mackey preseason watch list, so he's one that nationally people think is going to make a splash this year. He had a pretty decent year last year. He made 9 starts with the Roadrunners, but the way they're talking about him and the way they use him and the way this offense is, he's primed to have a really good season his junior year. This guy was a dude. I mean, look at that catch. He was a dude in high school, but they used him as a wideout. He was very tall, 6'6", but he's kind of grown into his body now. So he's gone from that wideout to, he puts his hand in the dirt and he's kind of your traditional tight end now. That's should have a pretty good season this year. And I think what better way to have a season opener than come back to your hometown? He said from age 8 to 14, he'd go to probably 3 or 4 games at Kyle Field a year. I mean, he got, he grew up an Aggie fan. He was going to the games. He's been to Kyle Field countless times. He been a part of that atmosphere. His family and coaches, everyone's gonna have tailgate out there on Saturday for him. But then he, when he talks about his Aggie fandom, he says, "But I'm at UTSA. I'm here for the Roadrunners now." So I think it's great that he grew up, that Aggie fan. But his development in high school, he wasn't exactly a target for the Aggies at that point. I'm sure they'd love to have him now. But the way his route goes, he goes to UTSA, and he seems like he's going to thrive.
Travis, you might have been here the last time we played UTSA.
Oh yeah,
but and I forget if he was at Consol or College Station High, but that one wide receiver, Josh, I think his name was Josh, like Johnson or Jacobs or something like that. Josh Jacobs, I think I'm thinking the Alabama running back, but he had just the most outstanding grab in the north end zone for UTSA. That was like kind of the highlight for both teams of the game against UTSA. And that was a game that was way too close. But I do predict that Thomas is going to get a touchdown in this game.
That would be really cool.
I don't think that that's that crazy of a prediction because of the way that we matched up against tight ends last year. Like we had some problems there, and it's flashes of Bowling Green, right? Where that one tight end got like 200 yards of receiving against us. I don't think that he's going to have that kind of day, but I could absolutely see him scoring a touchdown in Kyle Field, and he'll definitely be one of the mismatches to watch for sure. Matchups to watch for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll have a decent matchup there, and I think that would be cool if no matter what part of the time of the game, if he's able to score. I just think that would be awesome in front of the crowd, that his hometown crowd. Jeff Trailers talked highly of him. Mike Elko talked highly of him because Mike Elko's son went to high school with Houston Thomas. I talked to College Station's high school coach, Stoney Pryor, who was the offensive coordinator for Houston Thomas. He raved about, the development of, what they saw in him back then as a wideout. We think he can be a tight end. So it's kind of one of those cool stories. I mean, Elko even said, this guy's an NFL guy. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of high praise for the kid.
And you'll have tonight, we're recording this on Wednesday, you'll have tonight your package with all the quotes and stuff from those guys and some highlights that'll air tonight in the.
We'll air at 6, so and probably 10 o'clock too. We'll have a part of the story as well.
So we'll have those. This probably won't be up before the time the 6 is going, but those will be on KBTX.com. You can go back and click and watch Tyler's reporting from that.
In the spirit of, I don't know how much time we have left, Travis, so cut me off. But in the spirit of predictions, I'm happy to talk a score prediction and a weather prediction for the
Way to bring us down.
Let me do the score prediction first. Actually, y'all do score predictions, and then we'll come back. I'll do my score prediction, and I'll talk about the weather.
In honor of Lee Corso, we should have gotten you like a rain hat or a sun hat.
Ooh.
Good. Put on.
Not a bad idea.
Maybe we'll bring that in
For the other pods, Travis, I like that.
Tyler, what do you think?
All right, we're going score predictions. Texas A&M 44, UTSA 21.
Ooh, Tyler, I'm gonna change my numbers because that's almost exactly what I had.
I'm gonna go Texas A&M 35, UTSA 24. It's gonna be a little.
All right, a little closer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math in my head to where we cover because I've been saying that for 3-4 weeks now.
24 is just right now.
Oh, it's up to 24. Yeah. Interesting. So
I had them barely not covered.
So if we opened at 22 and a half, help me gambling wise. If we opened at 22 and a half and now it's moved to 24, does that mean a lot of people were like, how does Vegas even that out again? Does that mean and the spread has okay, don't worry.
I'm a bound person to ask.
I'll ask my gambling buddies after this.
So I've had to pick enough games in my career to know that I should not put money on them. So
I am going to go out on a limb here. This is wild of me to say something like this. I am going to go out on a limb here and say we score 45, and after a couple of shaky series in the first quarter-ish, we really clamp down, aside from maybe a late fourth quarter score, and I'm going to go 45-20.
40?
I was going to go 45-17, but I like a late touchdown or field goal from UTSA.
I thought about going 17-2, but yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go 45-20 Aggies.
Here's my hot take.
Okay.
We do not see Miles O'Neal in this game.
That's okay.
Because they will be close enough that they need to keep the first teams in there.
Okay.
We'll see Miles O'Neal in week 2.
We will see Miles O'Neal in week 2.
I love this coming from the BYU guy, like Utah State, whatever.
Yeah.
We're just reminisce about our
Soul brothers,
Mendenhall memories on the West next week.
Let me real quick before we wrap this up. Let me just say,
we have another little segment.
So okay, cool. Wait, watch the weather this weekend. We've got a funky front that I do think is going to give us some lovely air to enjoy. Not that it's going to be chilly, but it's going to be cooler, especially in the morning. I will be flat out with you. I don't know exactly what's going to happen on Saturday as far as the weather is concerned. I think we're going to get rain on Friday. I'm pretty sure we're going to get rain on Saturday too. I think the question is at what time of day. If this front rolls through a little bit quicker than what we're currently thinking, then maybe it's some morning rain and then we kind of enjoy some cooler rain through the rest of the day. I think that's kind of wishful thinking right now. And so the reason I said we need to bring it up is because I could absolutely see this game being influenced by a little bit of lightning. I don't think it would be like a 2-hour delay or anything like that, but I do think there could be some lingering weather around, especially it's a 6 o'clock instead of a 7 o'clock kick. So that will be something to watch. So if you're watching this from out of town, you don't have the KBTX weather app yet, download it. We will be pushing out updates as we go throughout the day. Hopefully we don't have to do that many. I would love for us to enjoy a nice, cool home opener. I just don't know that that's what's going to happen.
And the KBTX weather app works outside of Brian Close.
Yes, it does. So just turn your location services on.
You know what? I deleted the Weather Channel app, and I now only exclusively use.
That is so nice.
There you go.
Mostly just because the Weather Channel app just spammed my push notifications.
Yeah,
like
we try to only do the important pushes. So anyway,
if you have your volleyball and you get to hear Max go, there's lightning in your area.
That's true.
Can you give us a little?
Lightning has been detected in your area.
It's just like that. Be careful with that. Let's real quickly close this out with our fun little final segment around the SEC. This one kind of made some headlines on a lot of different publications. It's a little more sports centric. But a man whose name is George Herman Ruth out of Greenville, Tennessee. Who knows a George Herman Ruth? That's a It's one Babe Ruth.
Right.
But this isn't Babe Ruth.
The only reason I know he's George Herman Ruth is because The Sandlot.
The Sandlot.
movie. Yeah. Where he says
exactly.
George Herman Ruth. Yeah.
Well, this man was, George Herman Ruth, was charged with 91 counts in an indictment for a whole bunch of frauds: mail fraud, identity theft, fraudulent use of social security numbers. Not only is his name George Herman Ruth, but he was using all kinds of other former baseball players' names in these fraud schemes, going back to like the 1800s. And so it was this very baseball-centric crime. There's some fun baseball names out there. There's some guys with some real interesting names in baseball. If you were to commit fraud, which baseball name would you go with?
Tyler, did you have a couple of pre-selected ones?
Well,
there's a couple swirling around in my head.
Yeah, my favorite, and maybe it's not an outlandish name, but Barry Bonds, just because
Here's another hit. Barry Bonds.
Just people who have been indicted on
Barry
before.
Jail Bonds.
Well, exactly, but
bail bonds.
You go with the Barry Bail Bonds.
Yeah,
that's kind of the route I'm thinking. So
I like Yaz.
BBB.
Yaz, just because that's hard to spell.
Carly Yastrzemski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just call him Yaz. Willie Mays Hayes, even though that's a fictional
real
character.
person. Yeah.
What is it? What is it? Hit like Mays, run like Hayes.
Well, speaking of that, just a little tangent here. Do you see the New Mexico football team trolling?
Yeah.
They put out a depth chart because Michigan, notoriously doesn't do that, with just all like movie character names.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty funny.
So that was pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know why when you sent me this article, and I intentionally didn't read most of it just so I could be like surprised and in the moment with this. I don't know why the first name that came to my head was Rusty Greer. I've just always loved Rusty Greer's
great childhood play.
like one of the first names that I remember growing up as a kid. And so I was like, yeah, I would impersonate Rusty. I think I could pull off a Rusty Greer. Like, yeah, that guy looks like his name could be Rusty Greer.
People already think that anyone that works at KBTX, his name is Rusty.
That's true. I have been called Rusty before, so
it already works.
I get y'all confused
in this room during a stream. I've been called Rusty. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Here's a few that I came up with. Going back, and you can rate some of these. Boof Bonzer. It's a good one that you could use for your nefarious activities. Urban Shocker.
I'd go with Urban. I'd be Urban Shocker.
Urban Shocker.
I'd pull that one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, Urban Meyer had some Utah, history. It's kind of from that region. One we all know from the Cocoa Crisp. That was a great.
Ooh, yeah. I remember that one.
Wonderful, Terrific Mons.
I remember him.
Maybe related to, well, it's Mons, not Kellen Mond.
Yeah.
But, maybe there's some relation there. I'm going to save that one for later. Budweiser.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I'm going to steal that one from you.
Right up your alley.
Good old Bud Heavy.
One.
Lil Stoner. Count Sinsendorfer.
Okay.
Cannonball Titcomb.
Okay.
Just leave that there. And here's my favorite. Cal McLish. Cal McLish, that just sounds like a kind of goofy sounding name. Except for the fact that his actual name is Calvin Coolidge Julius Caesar Tuscoma McLish.
Goodness.
Apparently, reading his biography, his parents had like 7 children. This was the one that the dad got to name, and he went with.
Calvin Coolidge for
Julius Caesar Tuscoma McLish. He's from Endarco, Oklahoma. Played from 1944 to 1964 for the Brooklyn Dodgers, Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago Cubs, Cleveland Indians, Cincinnati Reds, Chicago White Sox, and Philadelphia Phillies. I think if I was going to commit some frauds, I might as well just go big and go with Calvin Coolidge Julius Caesar Tuscoma.
Okay. Yeah. They wouldn't even question it. They'd be like, okay, he must be real if he did this.
That's like kind of the, was it the Friends, the Princess Consuela banana hammock?
Yeah. It sounds very similar.
Those lines. Well, that's all the time we have this week for the pod. Be sure to check KBTX.com, the KBTX broadcast, for all of our coverage leading up to that big game, season opener against UTSA. We'll be back here next week to break everything down and look ahead to Utah State, which we've kind of already started doing a little bit. Download that KBTX weather app, KBTX sports app, KBTX news app for all those updates, and we'll be back next week, same place, to look ahead at the next game of the Aggie season. For Max Crawford, Tyler Shaw, and Travis Brown, this is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. We'll see you next week.